Hi, in this video, we are going to learn how to reference a query in Power BI, Power Query Editor. So, referencing a query means it's like creating another copy, and it means you are creating a copy of your parent query. So, when you click on the reference, when you right click on the sales query, which is your original query, and click on reference, it creates a reference query with just one step, that is the sourcing to its original sales query. So how it works is, so any changes which you do in this parent query will be reflected in the reference query. So for example, I will rename this reference sales query into reference sales, and I will show you an example how it works. So if I do any changes here, for example, if I add a column, so I will name it as dummy column. Okay, I have added a dummy column, and I will remove this first column, and now I will go to my reference query. You can see the first column is not there, and you have the dummy column. So this is what it means. It is a reference of your parent query. Any changes you do in the parent query is reflected in the reference query. Another use of this query is, so for example, you want to keep your original query as it is, and you want to perform certain steps further, like I want to group by according to description of goods. uh, okay, and I don't want to affect my original query. I want to group by description of goods by the taxable value. Okay, so I have kept my original parent query as it is, and I have referenced it and create and did some other steps in this referenced query. And again, I want to reference this query, and I want to check the total taxable value. And what I will do is I'll go to taxable value, go to transform, statistics, sum. Okay, so now I have two reference queries, total taxable value and reference of sales, which is group by. So this is my parent query, this is my two reference queries. So if I want to do any further steps from this, I can use the reference query. I don't need to import again the same data and perform all the steps performed here. I can just reference it and use it for other purposes. Okay, but you can't use this reference query in your parent query because it will create a circular reference. So as you can see, it will not allow you to merge your referenced query to your parent query because it creates a circular reference. Let us read about reference query. So, in theory, reference query, you can create a link between a new query and existing query. This allows the data to flow in sequential models. Any change in original query will be reflected in the reference query as shown in this particular example. Any change like add custom column, remove column is affected here. Okay. Then reference is another way of copying query. Then so when you reference a query, the query will have only one step sourcing from the original query. So this was the first step is equal to sales. Okay. And let's say we have created a new query and the result of combining the query 1 and query 2. However, we do not want to change any of the existing queries. So that's why we created two separate queries, reference and taxable value, because we wanted original to be as it is. And characteristics of reference query is it is directly linked to its parent query. The queries cannot be used extensively uh, as they can result in looping circular reference. As we seen, we cannot merge into parent query. And if you change the source of the parent query, it will affect reference query. It does not create any independent object. Reference acts as a pointer in the memory. And also reference is a good choice when you want to branch from into different query paths. Like with the same query, I performed grouping as well as total taxable value. And limitations of reference query, as we seen, we cannot use it again in the parent query, but we can use it for other purposes. Also, you can see the query dependencies in the view. So if you want to see if you click on reference cell, you can see it is linked to this original query and coming from a certain source. So this is called a reference query.